So there's 3 non-existent, well, very quiet people in here.
Okay.
It's a one-handed job, this. So I just thought, well, this is easy. And if anybody chats, well, I can just, a little peek.
If you go back
Yeah.
from here.
Oh, okay. Ready?
You go that way,
Go.
I'll go that way.
See who wins.
Are you doing both sides?
Yes. Is that? Oh yeah. Tons.
I wonder if there were. I might have knocked off a scale and they feed off scales.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, there's loads of. Stop. Yeah, loads of baby scales there.
Ooh.
Oh, there's tons.
Yummy. That's. Oh, okay. I'm glad you got that plant. No, thank you. Oh, Nemo Ferrari's here. Nemo is the one from Hong Kong who has never had wine or alcohol before. Hello, Nemo. Thank you for joining. Did you see me when we were back in the vineyard? I think this is where we met, or where you came, wasn't it? When I was vineyarding. Well, anyway, we are back here in the vineyard and my wife is just there. She's got the ant plant. Scales. Yeah?
Yeah, brown scales. Gross.
Alright, let's go have a look at this. Yeah, from yesterday's stream.
Broke off most of them now. There's some there, little bumps.
What are we looking at?
They're almost invisible. These little
Right,
bumps there.
yeah. And those are where babies are.
Baby scales.
What is baby scales?
Brown scale is a thing.
Right.
Ants feed off them, I think.
Yeah,
So
you can see them all along there.
The scales suck off some sap, and then they do sweet things that ants like. Kind of like
Yeah, symbiotic relationship
Yeah.
thing, yeah. I feel like I've got ants all over my arm, but I haven't. Creepy. I haven't seen them before.
Yeah, we found them last year.
There we go. Weird little things you spot in nature. So yes, we are back here doing it again. We're doing it today because the weather is going to turn tomorrow. So it's already cloudier today. Yesterday it was beautiful and hot. Today's a bit cooler. And then so tomorrow it'll be very cloudy. And then the day after that, we might get a bit of rain. So we are making the most of the weather. We're having a bit of fun outside. And I didn't realise my wife snuck up on me. Just appeared as she does. So, yeah. So what we're doing. Do you need to water the vines or does the rain do the job? So vines, they do need water. I mean, all plants need water. But vines need less water than a lot of plants. Vines grow in the desert. Vines will grow way up in a mountain, so they don't need that much water. Having said that, if you're in a very dry, arid place, then they do irrigate. But here in England, it's not really an issue at all. In fact, we kind of get a bit too much rain. So we don't water, because that would be a lot of work. You do need to water young plants. So vines are really hardy, but when they're young, they're a bit more at risk. So you tend to water young plants and just to get them established. But we don't. You know, England's really wet here. Sometimes we get a lot of rain. We've got very kind of moisture-rich soil, so we don't need to do much really. In fact, it's the opposite, and it's kind of doing work like this where we're stopping their growth rather than trying to encourage it, because we get too much growth. So that is why. Let's get all these little things off. So yeah, what else happened? So yesterday afternoon, this guy came round and he dropped off some alcohol for me, which was very nice. He makes gin, and he might want to do something. Wait, that's the best view. He might want to do something with us. So he bought some of our wine and brought some of his gin with him. And so to be nice, I gave him some of our wine, because he gave me some very nice stuff, which is very sweet of him. But this is a stupid. You think you're asking stupid questions, but you're asking very sensible ones. So no, keep asking them. So, what does wine taste like? I've never had it. So that is. I know I've been asked that before, especially with all the younger viewers who aren't old enough to have alcohol. That question is like asking, what does food taste like? And honestly, it is as complicated as that, because there's so many different types of wine that they all taste very different, and it's impossible to describe that. Mostly wine tastes of fruit, but it's like sour fruit because it's fermented. That's a really hard question to answer, because wine tastes of a lot of things, and also lots of wines taste of lots of things. If you just look at like wine flavours, if you Google wine flavours and you look at some images, people have put together some amazing things of flavours you can find in wine, and there are hundreds of different flavours you can find in wine. So our wine, so the wine here, so let's talk about these grapes here to make it simple. These grapes here taste very lemony, very kind of lemony, grapefruit, sherbet, white pepper, quite simple, just mainly citrus. But in wine, we talk a lot about acidity. Acidity is a very important thing with wine because it makes it feel fresh. And like when it's a nice level of acidity, it tastes great. So the best thing, the flavours of this wine aren't so aromatic and weird, but it's mainly the acidity of these wines which is really special. So that is one thing about these. And also this wine is good for us because it's disease resistant. It doesn't really get ill much. It kind of knows how to look after itself very well. So it's really easy to grow. But then another thing is that it grows very late. This is one of our last grapes to ripen. They all ripen at different times. Consider them like different humans, like all grapevines. They're all very different, and you can talk about them all differently. And this one is very late, very acidic, and also these are very old vines. That's the other thing about this, is that these vines here are the 50-year-old ones, so these are special for us. But so then white wines. So this is what you get in like wine education. So white wines taste of certain types of fruit. So you get citrus fruits, which is like lemon, orange, grapefruit, things like that. And then you get green fruits. Green fruits are things like apple, grape, pear, flavours like that. And then you get stone fruits. And stone fruits are things like peach and apricot. And you get tropical fruits, which is like pineapple and mango and lychee, I think. So those are the fruits. Then you can get herbaceous flavours, and herbaceous is kind of green without the fruitiness. So that's things like apple, like grass, and like green pea, and asparagus, and green bell pepper. Then you get flowery flavours. So that is things like rose and elderflower and honeysuckle. And then finally you kind of get like spices. So you might get ginger, you might get like nutmeg, you might get white pepper. So there are a lot of things that wine tastes, and that's just white wine. We haven't spoken about red wine. So red wine is split simply between red fruit and black fruit. Red fruit being like red currants, strawberry, raspberry, cherry, cranberry, and black fruit being more plum, damson, black currant, black cherry, things like that. And then another complication is that you put wine into wood. You see a lot of people talking about barrels in wine, and wood adds a flavour. So, and there's different types of wood. Wood usually adds kind of spicy flavour. So it's going to add like cinnamon and clove and licorice and smoke. And then American barrels adds coconut and vanilla and butterscotch. So different flavours there. And then sparkling wine tastes of other things. So that tends to be a bit less fruity, more just kind of like apples and pear and things. But then you get kind of brioche and bread and toast and butter and things like that, and maybe you get saltiness in there, and then you get the sparkling. So wine tastes of a lot of things, depending on the grapes, depending on the country, depending on the person, depending on the year. So hope that answers your question in a very long-winded way, because that is a very complicated question. So I'm guessing red and white wines taste very different. Yeah, they very much do. They should taste of their colour. So if you imagine white flavours and you imagine red flavours, well, that's what you're kind of looking out for. And there's also rosé wine. Rosé wine is like pink, and then just imagine pink flavours. So rosé wine is like a very light red wine. So you get those strawberry flavours, but then you kind of make them even kind of lighter and prettier. Not quite as heavy, because some red wines are very heavy. And we talk about texture a lot in wine. How do they feel? Red wines, it's called tannins. What tannins are, it's a chemical in the grape skin and in grape pips that strips proteins from your tongue, and the effect is it feels like grippy. It feels like a bit of sandpaper on there. But like nice sandpaper. It gives it structure. It makes it feel significant rather than like watery. It feels like something adult and with something that's quite complex. So this kind of grippy texture from tannins is very important in red wines, and that makes it very food friendly. Because again, the more powerful your food, the more powerful your wine, the more powerful food you can put with it. And again, that's a very long conversation, but roughly that is it. So big question, and that is only vaguely answered, to be honest. So hope that kind of makes sense. But yeah, it's very adult. There's a lot of flavours and foods that you won't particularly like until you're an adult. Like, I didn't like the taste of olives until I was older. I didn't like the taste of whiskey until I was older. I didn't like the taste of brandy and cognac until I was older. So there are some things just, you move away from sweet, you move away from simple, and you kind of, your palate wants something a bit more bitter and a bit more sour. I can't explain it, you just do. So I like kind of more bitter things as I'm getting older. I don't like sweet things so much. So there you go. Complicated, isn't it? Sorry. But I'll tell you the full answer. That is it. Oh. And what I'm doing here is, what this will do is it will make my grapes taste stronger. The more energy the grapes have got, the more the energy they put into getting sugar. The more sugar they've got, the kind of nicer and the more powerful the flavours. So these will make my grapes taste big, which is what we want. You want big flavoured wine, because you can make big taste smaller, but you can't make smaller taste bigger, really. It's better to have big flavoured things than it is to have really weak flavoured things. Or at least in England, where that is a problem. In some countries, that's not a problem. America, for example, they always get big, and their problem is that their wines are too big. They need freshness, they need lightness. In England, we get light very easily. We're trying to find big. So this is our battle to do that. What exactly are you doing when you pick the vines? What are you picking? I'll show you. So these, you see, actually you can start to see them here. Those little bits at the back. See those little bits there? Those are mini flowers. And soon those will turn into flowers. And then those flowers will turn into grapes. So those are the very beginnings of grapes just there. And then there's lots of them. So if each one of these has lots of those, well, look at how many there are. And so we kind of want to reduce them. We want the right number of these things. Now, these are good. We want them on here. This is exactly what we want. We want the fruit on these because this is nice young wood, lots of energy, and that's where they're getting it from. But vines are so vigorous, they just grow tons of them. You just see all of these, they're just everywhere. We don't want all of these. Sometimes they're too cramped and they grow in really bad places. And sometimes they grow underneath so they don't get much sun. And then this one, you've got two, where you've got one going really well, you've got one going badly. Well, let's make the good one go even better and get rid of the small one. So I'm just picking them off and throwing them away. And that is what I'm doing. And again, they do grow them everywhere. So like, what's the worst is when they grow them along these things. Like they see there's a bit of one there. I don't want that at all. Because the grapes down here, because these will grow grapes. If you leave them, this plant will try to grow grapes down here. You don't want that, you want them up. So we're doing that. So that is what we are doing. Again, there's just tons. There's one under there. I don't want that at all, it's just useless. I'm going to carry on, Matt Lena. I'm going to carry on. I'm staying. Sorry? I'm staying. Goodbye. There we go. Sorry, that's my wife down the end. She's just disappearing. I'm gonna do this row and then I'm gonna stop because I've got 3 of you watching, so I may as well carry on. And it's pleasant enough. I don't know what I would do if I was inside. So you see, just all these little bits. Don't want any of them. So these are baby versions of those green things I showed you. Again, there's tons. I want them here. Great up here. Not here. Don't want them. Wrong. Not good grapes. Not good energy use. Wasted. So again, here. Nope, don't want it. It's too low. So, and then here. So just lots and lots of this. Amazing. I have to go now. Keep it amazing streams. I'll show you hop on the next stream. Thank you. See you again. Nice speaking to you. All the best. Goodbye.